Welcome to Mind Body Besties, your weekly reset with real talk, a little laughter, and the kind of honest conversations you'd have with your closest friend. I'm Katie, a therapist.
And I'm Rachel, a naturopathic doctor. We're here to share the personal stories, struggles, and wins that have shaped our own health and happiness. This isn't a lecture, it's a safe space to slow down, connect, and feel a little more human again. So grab your coffee, get cozy, and let's reset together. Welcome, everyone. We're going to talk about frequencies and some cool stuff today. But even if you're a skeptic, you're going to want to listen to this because Katie and I are actually very skeptical by default. That's like our default setting. Would you say, Katie?
Yeah, I want to know why something is the way it is or how it works before I just jump on the bandwagon.
Same. So we've approached this really cool field of frequency and bioenergetic medicine and all these different healing possibilities from a science lens of why does this work? And we've seen some cool stuff happen and we've heard cool stuff. So there's definitely something to it. And we're just trying to understand more about it. And we're just going to have like a curious, open-minded walkthrough with some cool, different bioenergetic medicine modalities. So we're going to talk about how everything is energy. We're going to talk about vibration, frequency. If you've ever heard of different types of light therapy, like red light therapy, or that it's bad to be really close to cell towers all day. If you've heard about the benefits of sunlight and that hydration is so important and water is healthy beyond the reasons that we think it is, we're going to kind of start viewing ourselves as energy today and just walk through why all of these things affect us and how they could actually help us be healthier so that we have way more tools for healing. So let's dive in.
Yeah, where do we want to start?
Let's explain how everything is energy. Like, because we are seeing stuff in this 3D hologram with our eyes, but what's actually going on at the quantum physics level that we can't see.
Sure. Yeah. So I will admit, like, I know a lot of this stuff, but I didn't know how to put it in scientific terms. So I looked quite a bit up before this episode, so I didn't sound like I had no idea what I was talking about. But in like the most layman terms, because that's what I need to understand this stuff, we all have a specific frequency. We are all vibrating. Also, like non-human, non-living things also have a frequency and are vibrating. So the atoms in our cells are vibrating right now. And that is our frequency or our electromagnetic field. And we can measure electromagnetic fields, and people in like the spiritual woo-woo space might call it an aura, but it's energy that your body is emitting. And
And it's
so,
very real. Like, that's a real phenomenon. Like, we for sure have an EMF field around us, for sure.
yes, absolutely. And like if you've watched shows like Ghost Hunters or like Supernatural, they have EMF machines that picks up electromagnetic frequencies. So it can be measured. But in a more practical, like health-based medical sense, our brains and our hearts also have electromagnetic fields that can be measured. So brain waves are measured with an EEG, which you've probably heard of. And then our heart also has an EMF, and you can get an EKG to measure electrical activity in the heart. But for EMF, there's something called a magnetocardiogram, and it actually measures the heart's EMF, and it can be detected several feet away. So that just shows you like there is some energy in us that we're emitting, and it is powerful. Even if we can't see it or we don't think we can feel it, it's there.
Yeah, it's so cool because I had this random episode in 6th grade where the doctors thought I had a mini seizure. So I had to go get an EEG where they put all those different colored spaghetti wires on your brain and measure your brain activity.
Mhm.
And I never would have thought at the time, like, what is this actually measuring? But if you think about it, it's measuring like your brain waves, and frequencies are determining how tall this wave is and how frequently this wave is happening. And so when we talk about brain waves, like we're just talking about this stuff, which is so cool.
Yeah, and there's names for the waves. There's like theta waves, I think beta, and it's
Alpha,
different
yeah.
states of like how consciousness, kind of like how aware are you, how awake are you, and you're able to do different things in those different states.
Yes. Theta is what traditional shamans use, and they drum to get into theta. And that's where
Mhm.
we're supposed to be able to receive information and be like super connected to source. So I love trying to be in theta state.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I think it's like almost that state where it's like you're not asleep, but you're also not 100% awake. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's a
that trance in between state,
yeah.
which is so cool that our brains like can do that. That's insane.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Well, in terms of frequency, is there anything else that you feel like is helpful for people to understand? I can talk about density of matter.
Yeah, maybe go into like the science just a little bit more. So like
Yeah.
for non-living
Yes.
organisms, how does this work?
Yeah. So, like, this is where I wish I was a physicist, but I have read a lot of physics books because I'm really into it. So, I'm going to try to explain it in the best way I can. So, even non living objects are made of atoms, and atoms are mostly like empty space with particles that are constantly zooming around and moving. So, or moving in some way.
Yeah.
So, the difference between the air around us and something solid, like this desk in front of me, is how tightly those particles are arranged, like how closely they're packed together, and how freely the charges inside them can move. So this desk feels solid to my hand because the electromagnetic forces between the particles and the desk push back on the electromagnetic forces that are in my hand that's pushing on the desk. So what we perceive to be solid is really the force of our field pushing on that field. So, yeah, inanimate objects have a frequency. Every object has a natural vibrational frequency based on its structure. And we call that resonance. And like a guitar has a vibration. We can't hear or see most of the frequencies that are coming from other things like non musical instruments, but they're still there.
So how does that relate to like Wi-Fi and cell towers? Because I know there's been a big movement in the holistic space, like you should unplug your Wi-Fi at night. You don't want to be living by a 5G tower. How does that work?
Yeah, I have a adapter thing on my outlet to shut off my Wi-Fi at night, and then I measured how far my house was from the closest cell tower when we bought it, and I even got a EMF meter to make sure that because cell towers happen to blast stuff in certain random angles more powerfully than others, and so I wanted to make sure
Oh.
we weren't getting blasted through our clear windows. So
Oh
anyway,
my
I did
gosh, you're like really into this.
Oh, yeah. I did all of that when we got the house because I was like, I'm not going to get cancer in 20 years just because people
Yeah.
refuse to research this. And so, yeah, with that, we kind of go back to this idea that we have our natural EMF. So, like our natural magnetic field that our cells are used to operating in. And all of our cells have different potential in terms of electricity. And so our cells are like mini batteries. So the collection of trillions of batteries in our body creates an electric field. And then our body is used to existing within that electric field. So, like, all of our cells are used to being in that field that is our unique electromagnetic frequency. And everyone is going to have a similar ish one because we're all humans. And the Earth's frequency, they call it the Schumann resonance, we're
Mhm.
used to being around that kind of frequency and the same frequency that is emitted from sound, from birds chirping, crickets, like all of that is shown to be like healing frequencies that our cells operate well with. And then there's other frequencies that are non native, that our body is not programmed to operate in, and that are disruptive. Because it's like if you imagine two oceans meeting, waving
Yeah.
in at each other from opposite directions, the waves crash and you get disharmony instead of like a harmonic one way wave direction. And so the easiest way to think about it would be that this non native Wi Fi frequency and this non native cell tower frequency are crashing and colliding with our beautiful symphony of natural native frequencies that our body's used to and that our cells operate well within.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, and I don't have, like, anything really helping the Wi-Fi situation in my house. I do have a crystal on it. What is the why can't I think of the name? What is the it's a black
Oh, yeah.
crystal.
Oh my gosh. I can't think of it either. Shungite.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So I have a little shungite crystal on the top of my Wi-Fi router just in case it does something, but what I did
Yeah.
do is I got a non-Wi-Fi baby monitor because I didn't want this baby monitor right
Yes.
over Ivy's crib, just emitting a bunch of electromagnetic frequencies, and so it's like an kind of an old school one. It has to be plugged in. It's not wireless. It doesn't there's no app on my phone where I can check it, which I don't really need. My house is small enough that like I don't need to be able to see her from that. I don't need pictures everywhere. But I did do that because I didn't want it to affect her since she's just so little and
That's amazing.
developing. Yeah.
I got an alarm clock that is not connected to my phone and doesn't pair to my phone because I didn't want
I
that.
should not sleep with my
Wi-Fi right by my head. It's hard, but I didn't even
phone.
know that in today's day and age you could get non-Wi-Fi ones. So that's a really smart consideration to not have that. It's like just because we
Mhm.
can tolerate something and it's not going to kill us immediately. First of all, cancer cells take on average 20 years to show up. So there's so hard to like research and correlate these things.
Yeah.
But they put like plant seeds next to Wi-Fi routers and they won't sprout or they'll die.
Oh,
And
wow.
so if other living organisms can be damaged by something, just because we can tolerate it doesn't mean it's like good for us, you know?
Yeah. Okay, last example, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
But there was a study done, and there were all of these people that worked in call centers with headsets, with Wi-Fi headsets or wireless headsets, whatever. And the side that the earbud was in, a lot of those people ended up having brain cancer, and the tumor was on the side that the earbud was in. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, if that doesn't like show you something, then I don't know what does."
I believe that. I've gone back to my wired headphones. Like I
That's why
still yeah.
I'm always telling people, take your damn earbuds out. Why are you wearing them all day?"
Especially because AirPods have gotten so popular and they're unique
Mhm.
in that they sync together. So they're literally putting an electric current talking to each other from each side of your ears through your brain.
Oh, Lord.
So they're like extra bad for you.
Yeah. And I imagine, like, I consider myself, like, a highly sensitive person, and I, after having earbuds in for a certain amount of time, feel very overstimulated. I cannot leave them in all day. I can't listen to music all the time, and so I wonder if it's something about that frequency,
Yeah.
that is overstimulating to me. I don't know.
I
Just a
feel
thought.
like I almost just feel this like uncomfortable, almost brain fog kind of feeling if I have them in for a long time, if they're Bluetooth.
Yeah, and I could have music playing in a room, and that doesn't bother me, but if it's something about, like, in my head that's too much.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. You know, and one last thing on our body being this electromagnetic field is there's been a correlation found between how often people have AFib and cardiac events and their heart beats an abnormal rhythm and geomagnetic storms and stuff going on in the earth because the earth's own electromagnetic field and toroidal field that it has going on are influenced by solar flares and this other stuff. And then we're influenced by that. Like our heart literally responds to it's like if you stick your finger in a socket, like you're gonna respond
Yeah.
to the electricity. Like
Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah.
so crazy. Everything is just so interconnected, and that's just so cool to me.
Yes. So let's dive into Rife machines a little bit. These have gotten really popular. They're frequency based therapies, and they send very specific frequencies to your body so that you're accomplishing a certain goal. And I actually have a Rife that I've tried. I haven't dived into it a lot, but I was really curious about this because in the Lyme world, there's so many positive stories of people healing using Rife. And so it's not everything. Like you can't just like frequency blast your body and like make up for eating zero nutrients and not sleeping or whatever. But there's two different categories with Rife that we can kind of put things in. and we can send healing supportive frequencies, and we can send the Schumann resonance from the earth to someone. We can send grounding frequencies, the frequencies for love, all that. And then we can also send killing frequencies. So we can be like, this is the frequency that helps kill Lyme, or this is the frequency that matches amoxicillin as a medication. And if someone can't tolerate amoxicillin, we can still send the frequency of amoxicillin to them.
Oh, wow.
So rife machines are pretty wild. They're getting more popular, but I'm also surprised that they're not more widely used so far.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how they determined what frequency to use for those things?
I've wondered that so much, and no. I know that
Okay.
I know there's ways to I don't even Joe Dispenza has ways to measure the energy in a room. So there's
Hmm.
some kind of ways to measure these things, but I just don't know about it at all.
I love Joe Dispenza. He's a little gimmicky sometimes, but I think he's like really on to something
I think his
with
intention is always good. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. I've read his book, the Supernatural book, and it
Mhm.
blows your mind everything that you're capable of and the case studies of people who completely healed their cancer just with their mind and visualization and frequencies.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to our episode on how powerful the brain is, I would go back and listen to that because we talk all about that kind of stuff there, but
Yes.
your brain is very powerful. So,
Yes. So yeah, rife machines, pretty cool. And then that kind of leads us into another frequency that we can use for healing, which is light. I don't know about you. I don't walk around all day remembering that I'm a light body and that my cells are emitting light. I don't think about it.
no, I never think about that. I
Literally
might
never.
now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
right now.
not something that I've thought about.
I know. Yeah. I took Klinghart's first training class, and he's the doctor that's really pioneered biophotons coming from our cells. And he, this is widely documented. This is not unique to him. We know that our cells emit light. That's a fact. It's just not light that we can see with our naked human eye. But light holds a lot of information. And so we can use, a single photon, particle of light, can hold so much information. It's crazy. So light has an intelligence in its own, but our body also projects light because it's being emitted from each of our cells. And so there's this whole biophoton area of health where you can actually basically use your body's either organized or aberrant emission of light to know that something's wrong and then also give that feedback to your body to correct it. So this sounds wild, but people can, if they think that their liver is not functioning well, if you hold a mirror so that it's connecting your vision, looking down, holding this mirror in front of your belly, pointing at your liver, and you can look in this mirror and see it, that the light coming from your liver, it's going to be disharmonious and disorganized. And it's not going to be perfectly streaming out if the organ isn't functioning well, because the cells aren't functioning optimally, so they're not emitting their optimal light. So you can give that feedback to your brain, hey, look at this aberrant light coming from my liver, even though we can't see it. And then people report success with doing that because your subconscious brain knows to go attend to that area because the light was disharmonious coming from it.
That's crazy. I want to talk to someone who's done that. That's one of those ones that I'm like, really? I mean,
I know.
I want to believe it.
Yeah.
I need to talk to someone who's done that.
I would love to also. Yeah, I've never tried that, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And so since we're all just light beings and we're emitting light from all of our cells, we also function using light. And our mitochondria is really responsive to light. So our energy factories in our cells respond a ton. And we're figuring out that different mechanisms in our body and different healing processes respond to different types of light. So we have red light therapy. Have you ever tried red light or blue light therapy?
So it was violet light therapy with Dr. Quinn, and he'll be on an episode. See the next episode?
Actually, yeah. So it'll be before this one. So it'll already be out.
This isn't real time, so you don't know what we're talking about. Dr. Quinn's episode will be out by the time this one comes out. And when I first went to him, he did violet light therapy, and the machine he used was really cool. It had like glass vials that had different like supplements and plants, and I'm not even sure what else in it, but the violet light went through that and then onto your body. And the idea was that it was picking up the frequencies, healing frequencies of whatever was in those vials, and that was also being pushed into your body. But I was having gallbladder problems, and so we did the violet light over my gallbladder, and then he also did it on my thyroid, basically, and then on my ear. I do not remember why. It was my ear, but that's what we did, and, I mean, it was just very pleasant. It was nice and warm, and I just laid there,
That's so
and
cool.
then he also had mountain spring water bottles, glass bottles, and he would put those under the violet light and then would have me drink that water to help heal, like, from the inside, and I can't say that I, like, felt a difference only from that, but you'll hear my story in that other episode. He fixed me. We did some other stuff too, but so it definitely didn't hurt.
That's amazing. That kind of segues into we wanted to talk about water too, like how water can hold, because that's
Yeah.
wild that water can hold frequencies, but we know from research that it can. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of, like, crazy stories about water. And we could do an entire episode on water, we probably will, but, like, what's one of the coolest facts you know about water and how intelligent it is?
Yeah, I have done a deep dive into this, and I love the movie Frozen 2, which talks about water being intelligent. Watch it every winter. But I think the coolest thing is that there's a fourth phase of water where it's a little bit different than the typical H2O structure. And it's also called the plasma state. And it's the in between state where it's not quite frozen and it's not quite liquid. And in this fourth phase of water, which is found naturally in spring water and, cucumbers and like fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's found in our cells in our body, that structured phase of water is super highly intelligent. It's able to store and convey information, and it operates differently than other water. And we use it, like our body is made up of this huge extracellular matrix, like fascia suit of this structured water. So like this could
Wow.
be the computer chip that's connecting everything in our body. So
Yeah.
yeah, we should definitely dive into water in its
Okay,
own
what's
episode.
what's one of your I wanna know a cool story just to give everyone an example, like, give me
Yeah.
a cool story. We've talked
Okay.
about a bunch, but what's your favorite?
I did a training with Vita Austin, who studies this a lot. And she shared a story of someone she knows imprinting the water with the frequency of ayahuasca. You literally just write the word on a piece of paper and you set it by this water with the intention that it goes in the water while you are putting it into the freezer and freezing it this special way. And the person she knows who was taking it had to stop taking it because he was starting to experience the effects of ayahuasca just from drinking and like eating this water after imprinting it.
Wow. Okay, so by imprinting, tell me if I'm right or wrong, is that kind of like could we say that they're like an electromagnetic field like converged or the water like took on the properties of the word ayahuasca and then it became ayahuasca basically?
Good question. This is
Is
where
that
it
what we
gets
mean?
really, yeah, basically the the intention. This is where quantum physics like gets brought into everything because
Yeah.
our conscious intention influences behavior on an atomic and subatomic level. And so because our intention is made really clear, then the water would be picking up on the frequency of that intention
Okay.
and like holding that frequency. That's how I understand it. That could be
Okay.
wrong. Yeah.
We need Joe Dispenza because
We
his whole
don't, yes.
becoming supernatural is a bunch of quantum physics stuff.
Yes. Quantum physics is so crazy. Like if you look at a particle and you observe it, and you put your thoughts and intention to it versus not, it behaves differently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
it is. But yeah, it's so cool that we can use all these things for our own healing because it's like, okay, if I put my thought and attention to my liver functioning well,
Mhm.
then are those the atoms that make up those cells, are they going to behave differently because I'm thinking about it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so crazy.
really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we're trending a little more what we like to call woo-woo here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of my favorite things, which is crystals.
Yes, let's
I
talk
have
about
so
it.
many crystals. I love
They're
crystals.
so
Okay,
pretty.
they are. If nothing else, like if I didn't think that they could do anything, which like I'm like on the fence about it, but even I don't care because they're pretty and I like to set them out. I have some really pretty ones in
Same.
my house. So whatever, at least they're decorative, if nothing else. But if you are into crystals and into especially meditating or you know anything about your chakra system, this might be interesting to you. So, fun fact, I am a yoga teacher. I did a 200-hour yoga teacher training years ago. Oh my God, almost 11 years ago now.
Oh my gosh.
Um, I don't teach anymore, but I used to, and I mostly did it for myself, but that like opened the door to like crystals and all of these things for me. So, and because of that, I meditate a lot. I meditate almost every single day. And there is this idea
I didn't know
that,
you, by the way, that's amazing. I didn't know you meditated almost every day. That's
oh
awesome.
yeah, yeah, I meditate before I go to bed.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. I don't think I knew
yep.
that. That's so cool.
I do. If anyone's interested, I use Insight Timer. I think it is the best app, better than Headspace, because it has like really weird woo-woo spiritual meditations. You can do like a spirit guide meditation or like they have shamanic ones on there too.
I love
And
that. Wow.
sometimes I just do like pretty general, like, uh,
Wind down your stress for sleep.
yes, yeah. But and they'll tell you like grab a crystal. So, anyways, there is this idea called crystal resonance that basically says that if you hold on to a crystal, any crystal, it will have a vibration. And that vibration can influence your vibration and it can bring you up or down, or it can like align your chakras or get your heart chakra more open, all of those things. And so basically, I looked this up. I looked up the concept of crystal resonance. So I'm gonna read some of this stuff. But basically, again, everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency. And when a crystal is brought into proximity with the human body, its frequency can interact with your frequency or electromagnetic fields. I use them kind of interchangeably because it's easier to understand. And so each of these crystals have a different vibration. Usually it's based on the color of the crystal. So a black crystal like obsidian or black tourmaline is going to be a lower vibration. And low doesn't mean bad, it just means more grounding. So I think of it as like it's lower to the ground. So it's more grounding. And then a crystal that's like red or yellow or even like light blue has a higher vibration. And so that gets you it's like closer to your third eye, and so it's more for opening the third eye or your throat chakra or whatever it is. So, you're holding on to this crystal. There's also a scientific principle called entrainment. And this says that when two vibrating systems interact, they synchronize their frequencies over time. So, this was actually observed by a Dutch scientist in the 17th century, and he noticed that two pendulum clocks placed close together would eventually synchronize their swings just by being in the same space and by having their vibrations close to each other. Eventually, they synchronized. So
That's
it's the same
crazy.
idea with holding this crystal or having it close to you. And so I often will pick out a crystal based on what I'm meditating on. If I'm looking for more like guidance from my higher self, or maybe from source or spirit guides, or whatever you want to say. I'll pick like a light blue crystal or a purple crystal because that's for your third eye and crown chakras. If I'm feeling really anxious one day, or maybe really disorganized, or just like all over the place, I might pick a red crystal for my root chakra, or a black crystal that's more grounding. So red, jasper, obsidian, whatever. So I kind of look at the color and I'm like, okay, higher, lower frequency, what chakra might that go with if you really want to get into it? But yeah, I think you can use
Amazing.
crystals in the same way. Sometimes I'll sleep with one next based on whatever I'm trying to kind of manifest or my intentions. I'll have the same crystal like next to my bed for like a week.
You know, that sounds a lot to me like nervous system co-regulation. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, because if everyone has their own unique frequency, a little bit different, and, you can feel a way when you walk into a room, like a room can have a frequency, whatever. So if someone else has a certain frequency, being around them can make you feel positive or it can make you feel negative. So, like, it sounds like to me like we're co-regulating with the frequency coming from the crystal because they have different frequencies.
Yeah. And like a good like normal example of this is I started practicing like co-regulation with my daughter. She's 16 months old now, and sometimes she is throwing a fit. She's crying about something, I have no idea what. Maybe she doesn't want to go to bed, and so I will pick her up. And a lot of times as parents, we want to be like, okay, you're fine, you're fine. And you're getting really upregulated or anxious because they're crying. But what I've started doing is I practice like picking her up, and I won't say anything. I'll just hold her and I'll take some really like nice, long, deep breaths. And a lot of times she is definitely picking up on that. She's not old enough to understand what I'm doing. She will start to calm down when I do that. And it's better for her, and it's a lot better for me because I am not so anxious and frantic trying to get her to stop crying.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, you're so smart.
I learned that from a therapist on TikTok, and I was like, that's a good idea. Don't know why I never thought of that myself.
This is why we love TikTok.
I know.
So
I
much cool
also
info.
don't work with kids, so I just like don't think of
Yeah,
that stuff naturally. So I love a good child therapist.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
One other cool thing where you're talking about the crystals is I think what helped me get over my skepticism with crystals, and like, again, we're both like, this isn't the most diehard. Like, if someone told me I had a major diagnosis, I wouldn't just go use crystals to heal myself.
No.
Like, no. But I think the reason I started being really open to this idea of crystals being able to have like different frequencies and hold intelligence or information or whatever is because we use crystals to make the hard drives of computers. And like,
Yes.
yeah, like the crystal is what we use. Like we literally use that ordered lattice structure, which is again found in structured water,
Hmm. And
to,
this is in nature. They're
yeah,
not
found in nature.
manufactured rocks, they're
Yes.
nature.
Yes. Like they're using like silicone crystals in computers and other devices to hold and store and transmit information. So we're literally using this, and it's also in our fascia, in our bone, in our collagen, in our body. So
Hmm.
I don't think that's like a coincidence that this lattice structure that's found in a crystal, and crystals are so healing, is also found in our body and also found in water, and also what we use as our main way to store info in computers and stuff.
Yeah. And when I was doing research for this, I saw something that said that we use clear quartz in watches, like not digital
Yes.
watches, but old school watches,
That
and
tick. Yeah.
also ultrasound machines too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing that I forget what it's called, the piezoelectric. I've looked into that before and like it's mind blowing that you
I
can.
came across that too, and I was like, this is a little
Yeah. We need
hardcore
to bring
for,
like a physicist on here
yeah,
to talk to
yeah.
them. Let them give us all the words and explain these things.
Yeah, but I did come
But
across that too, and I was like, I feel like I have reached my peak here, and this is for another time.
yeah. But also we know enough to know that it does something even if we don't understand the full why. And so
Yeah.
it's like all of these things have such healing potential. because healing is all about repatterning and helping your cells be more coherent and clearing interference. Like Wi-Fi would be an interfering signal to your body. So I don't know, like all the things we know that are good for us, like light exposure, which we need for our cortisol and our neurotransmitters, nature, which has the frequency from crickets and birds, and the grass has a frequency and the ground has a frequency. And we know listening to music and humming and like certain songs like Mozart are supposed to be good for focus.
Yep.
So sound is such an obvious frequency one, but we naturally know all of these things. And so it's cool to start to dive into the why too behind it.
Yeah. And also, if you think about it, hundreds of years ago, we didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We weren't living the kind of life that we live now in modern day. And so this is all, like you said, these non-natural frequencies that our bodies are having to learn how to interact with. And it's not always good to be interacting with those all the time.
Yeah, I think it might be neat to do another episode in the future on interference, because we can categorize like glyphosate, which is Roundup, and heavy metals and all those things. It's like, they're doing something on the biochemical level, but also are they just interfering with your cell's photon light emission and like messing up your body's computer chip and how it's like wired to function, It's like figuring out interference.
We need like an expert on that. I don't know who that would be, but that would be really cool.
We can get some people. Yeah.
Okay. We need some experts on that.
Yeah. Well, I love this stuff. We're going to be doing a little bit more frequency focus or just looking beyond what's right in front of our eyes for 2026. So we're starting the new year with a bang, starting to talk about this cool stuff. And I just want to remind everyone that probiotics were a hoax, and overgrowth of bacteria in the body, that was called SIBO, was a hoax. And all the medical journals condemned it, and no one would publish anything on it. And everyone said that it was all fake. And now we have so much research. So an absence of research and an absence of interest on the conventional medicine field's part does not mean something is not a thing.
And also, like, when people are doing research, they're going to look at what's going to make money in the future.
Yes. What would make a drug? What would make a medication?
Yeah. And a lot of this stuff would put those people out of business, or at least have them make a lot less money. So it's not prudent, for them to research this stuff. So just listen to your intuition, keep an open mind, and maybe it's not going to hurt you to try red light therapy. Not going to hurt you. So don't do anything dangerous. But a lot of this stuff is like worst case scenario, you feel nothing from it, and then
worst case scenario, you have a pretty crystal and you're more hydrated.
Yeah, there you go. So I just encourage everyone to keep an open mind. And like we said, we are skeptics of things too. I don't just hear something and go, oh yeah, I believe that. Do your own research and see what you think.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, this was great being able to share this with you guys, because this is something Katie and I are both really passionate about. So thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yep. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly reset. If you loved hanging out with us today, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this with a friend who could use a little calm and connection too.
This show is for education and inspiration, not medical advice. To learn more or connect with us, check out the show notes below. Until next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your heart.